Without any further ado, I want to go ahead and bring up tonight's guest, and it is Dr. Alan Sabrowski. Dr. Sabrowski, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mark. Pleasure to be here.
Well, believe me, the pleasure is ours. As I said, this article that you wrote this week, there are very few articles that really catch my attention these days, as you can understand, Dr. Sabrowski, because there's just so much information out there and so many people talking. But this one particularly caught my interest and held my interest throughout the duration of this, reading this article, which I will be reading here in just a minute. But before I jump into that, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the floor here and let you say some things that I think need to be said.
Mark, we had talked about this earlier, and, you know, my feelings are that I'm perfectly willing to debate issues with anyone on any subject. You know, most of us have different views of things, and, you know, none of us, I think, believes that we have the entire truth to ourselves. That anyone who does is a fool. Mm-hmm. But when, on the subject that I wrote this time, it caught my attention as well, because if there is anything that is more significant, it is loyalty. Mm-hmm. Loyalty to country, loyalty to people, loyalty to Constitution. Mm-hmm. And to my displeasure and my shame, because I have some Jewish relatives, okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. None of whom is Zionist. That a large majority of American Jews give their allegiance to a foreign country. Mm-hmm. They may have American citizenship, but their allegiance is to Israel. Mm-hmm. And as I said in the piece, this is a form of political bigamy that is every bit as dishonest as marital bigamy.
Right.
And marital bigamy, you know, I'm not married now, but when I was, I mean, loyalty to my spouse was absolute. Mm-hmm. It has to be there. I mean, I could look and say, aha, there is Farrah Fawcett, you know, and I could admire someone out there, but I didn't give that person my allegiance.
Right.
And there's a difference between admiring from a distance and giving allegiance mm-hmm. to that thing. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with the country. I mean, there are Americans, you know, some of my relatives are German, some are Irish, you know, and all of them have a measure of allegiance to those cultures, mm-hmm. but it's not a political allegiance.
Right.
It's, you know, it's a social allegiance. It's like we're going to stand up on St. Patty's Day, or we're going to stand up on Oktoberfest, or we're mm-hmm. going to celebrate this, and we're proud of being German or Irish or whatever it happens to be, but none of us gives our allegiance to Ireland or to Germany. Mm-hmm. Jews do. And if we don't say it, I don't care if we're called anti-Semites or not. If we don't stand up and say, truth is truth, their allegiance to a foreign country, they are traitors, then we're dishonest to ourselves.
Well, and if it would be one thing, Doctor, it would be one thing if they had allegiance to this foreign country, and this foreign country's national interests mimicked ours. But this isn't the case. I mean, look, we have here, as far as the third leg of this chair here today is a man who experienced firsthand the fact that this other country, the national interests of this other country, are not the same as the national interests of this country.
But it's even more than that, Mark. If I've had a bitter argument with one of my Jewish cousins who moved to Israel mm-hmm. and kept an American citizenship. You know, if someone loves another country enough to go there, more power to them. You know, they go, that's it, they're gone, but they keep the American citizenship mm-hmm. so that they can continue to participate in our elections, mm-hmm. stand in our offices. Mm-hmm. Look at Rahm Emanuel.
Exactly.
He's served in the Israeli armed forces, not in the American armed forces, and he is easily the second most powerful person in this country.
Yes.
Easily. That's treason. Mm-hmm. I will tell you right now, if Palestinians had the same influence in America,
Sure.
I would oppose them in the same way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I don't care what the country is, what the allegiance is. What matters to me is that if you are American, you love this country first, last, and that's the end of it.
Absolutely. First,
and I
second,
don't care
and third.
if you're Navy, Marine, whatever you are. Phil, you and I probably agree on this, and it's probably one of the few things that a Navy and a Marine guy would agree on. But you know, I think both of us would agree that loyalty to America is the only non-negotiable part of American citizenship.
Yep.
Absolutely, Alan, and I'll tell you, you being a United States Marine, that is inbred in you, and being a Marine, semper fidelis, always faithful. You're faithful to your country, and you know, I'm sorry you had the argument with your cousin, but you're still faithful to your country, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. And you know, Mark, I don't think at the beginning of the show that you read the doctor's credentials off. I wish you would, because it means a lot, and it means a lot to me to hear them.
Absolutely, and I will do that right now since I'm about to launch into reading this excellent article. Alan Sabrowski, Ph.D., University of Michigan, is a 10-year U.S. Marine Corps veteran and a graduate of the U.S. Army War College. Now, not only that, Dr. Sabrowski, correct me if I'm wrong here, not only are you a graduate of the U.S. Army War College, but you were director of studies there for some period of time. Is that correct?
That's correct, for 5.5 years.
5.5 years as director of studies at the U.S. Army War College. You know, of all the things that I would love to be able to have trailing behind my name, Dr. Sabrowski, being the director of studies at the U.S. Army War College would definitely be one of them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as much as it's going to appear that I am acting as a schoolmarm here in reading this article to you, nevertheless, I'm going to do it not as